Right now, at the world's busiest airport, a man was just asked to leave his first-class seat, all because of his appearance. But what you're about to see isn't just a case of discrimination. This is the moment that changed an entire industry, and you won't believe who's behind it all. Sir, you're in the wrong seat. This area is for first-class passengers only. Move to economy now. James Carter, in a black t-shirt and jeans, looks up from his phone, his eyes calm but sharp. He holds up his first-class ticket, but Emily shakes her head, calling security over her radio. What's going on here? A man with a valid ticket, a Delta Diamond member, being treated like a fraud just because he doesn't look like he belongs in first class? But hold up, what do you think he's gonna do? Quietly walk away? Or stand up and change everything? Here's a question for you. If you were in this situation, facing unfair treatment in front of dozens of people, what would you do? James Carter, the man you're about to meet, chose a path no one expected. In the next 60 minutes, he didn't just reclaim justice, he made an entire industry get down on its knees to apologize. How? The secret lies in who he really is, and that moment will leave you speechless. Don't look away from this screen. This video will show you the power of one person standing up to injustice, how a single individual can shake up an entire system, and the lessons you can apply today to never accept unfair treatment. Stick around to the end for the biggest plot twist and how you can join the #Dignity for All movement. Ready? The story starts now. Picture yourself standing in the middle of Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, the busiest in the world, with thousands of people rushing by, dragging suitcases, speakers blaring flight announcements, and the air buzzing with urgency. Now zoom in to the first-class cabin of Delta Flight 672 to New York. Soft lighting, plush leather seats, but the tension is thicker than a Georgia summer. A black man, James Carter, sits in seat 1A, scrolling through his phone. He's rocking a black t-shirt, jeans, and a simple laptop backpack, nothing screaming he belongs here. But then, all hell breaks loose. Flight attendant Emily Harper, her professional smile long gone, points at James and snaps, her voice cutting like a knife. Sir, you're in the wrong seat. This section is for first-class passengers only. Get to economy now. The entire cabin goes dead silent. All eyes lock on James. A few passengers whip out their phones, flashes popping like fireflies in the dark. An ex-user, @TravelTruth, starts live streaming, fingers flying across their screen. Drama unfolding on Delta Airlines right now, #Delta discrimination. In seconds, the post gets 50 reposts. James looks up, his eyes calm but sharp as a razor. He slowly holds up his first-class ticket, his voice low and clear. Seat 1A, first class. I think you need to double-check. But Emily doesn't even glance at it. She shakes her head, her radio crackling. Security, head to gate A12 immediately. We've got a non-compliant passenger. The crowd starts murmuring. An older guy in seat 2B, decked out in a pricey suit, mutters loud enough for everyone to hear. Buddy, just go to economy. Don't make this a mess. His words are like gasoline on a fire. You can feel the injustice hanging in the air, heavy as smog. But hold on a second. What are you thinking? If you were James, treated like a fraud in front of dozens of strangers, what would you do? Swallow the humiliation and walk away, or fight back? James Carter, the man you're about to know, doesn't take the easy road. He's not just holding a first-class ticket. He's not just a Delta Diamond member with 400,000 miles. He's got something no one in this cabin expects, and it's about to make the entire airline industry beg for forgiveness. In the next 60 minutes, this cabin will turn into a battleground for justice. One man, deemed out of place, will flip the script and make the most powerful people tremble. But who is James really? Why did a text just flash on his phone saying, "Board meeting called urgently"? And how does one passenger make Delta Airlines stock plummet 3% in just 20 minutes? Don't take your eyes off this video. You're about to witness a true story where injustice gets exposed, systems get shattered, and one man changes how the world sees fairness. This isn't just about James Carter. It's about you, about the times you faced unfair treatment and wondered what you could do. In this video, you'll see the power of standing up, how one person can rock an entire industry, and practical lessons to apply. Today, no matter where you are, want to know the biggest plot twist? Want to join the #Dignity for All movement sweeping the globe? Stick around to the end. The story starts now. The first-class cabin of Delta Flight 672 at Atlanta's airport is hotter than a July barbecue. James Carter, the black man in seat 1A, just got told to leave his spot by flight attendant Emily Harper with a voice colder than ice. He showed his first-class ticket, but Emily wouldn't even look. She stands with her arms crossed, eyes dripping with suspicion, like James is some con artist daring to sneak into a place he doesn't belong. Now, the conflict's exploding like a wildfire. Emily shakes her head, her voice echoing through the cabin. "Sir, I've said it already. You're in the wrong seat. This isn't your place. Follow security to economy, now." Her wrong seat line lands like a slap, and the passenger chatter gets louder. A few folks are still filming, phone flashes blinking like crazy. On X, @TravelTruth keeps live streaming, fingers hammering the screen. "Black man in first class targeted by Delta crew. This is wild." Delta discrimination. The post now has 200 reposts in under a minute. James, still chilling in his seat, his eyes sharp but his voice eerily calm. He pulls a Delta Diamond membership card from his backpack, the kind you only get after racking up hundreds of thousands of miles, and hands it to Emily. "Ms. Harper, here's my card. 400,000 miles with Delta. Please check the system." But Emily barely glances at it, tossing out a line that stuns the whole cabin. "This card? Anyone can buy these online now. You think I haven't seen this trick before?" Her words are like pouring fuel on the flames. The older guy in seat 2B in a fancy gray suit chimes in with a condescending tone. "Buddy, just go to your real seat. Don't hold up the flight." The crowd split. Some nod along, others shake their heads, sensing the injustice unfolding. Imagine you're there, watching someone get treated like a liar just because of how they look. How do you feel? Angry? Powerless? Or curious about what James does next? But hold up, it's not over. Captain Michael Brooks, a 50-year-old with silver hair and a crisp uniform, steps out from the cockpit. He sizes James up, t-shirt, jeans, backpack, and declares with an air of authority, "I've been flying 20 years, and I know a scam to sneak into first class when I see one. You, get out of that seat, now, or I'm calling airport security." Brooks' words hit like a gavel, and Emily nods, smug. She grabs her radio again. "Security, we need backup at gate A12 ASAP. Disruptive passenger in first class. But here's what you need to notice. James Carter doesn't flinch. He's still sitting there, seatbelt fastened, backpack at his feet, like he knows something nobody else in this cabin does. On his phone, a text flashes. "Board's waiting for your call. Act now." What's that text about? Why is a regular passenger getting messages from a board of directors? And most importantly, what's James about to do to make this entire crew regret underestimating him? Don't look away from this video. What's coming next will blow your mind. James Carter isn't just holding a first-class ticket or a diamond card. He's got power that Emily, Brooks, and all of Delta Airlines couldn't dream of. In the next few minutes, this cabin will become a war zone for justice, where one man flips the game and forces an entire industry to change. Want to know the secret behind James's calm? Want to see the moment the crew's faces go pale? Stay locked in, because this story isn't just about injustice. It's about how one person can change the world, and you can learn to do the same. Keep watching, because it's about to go down. The tension in the first-class cabin of Delta Flight 672 at Atlanta's airport is at a breaking point. James Carter, the black man in seat 1A, just got called a fraud by flight attendant Emily Harper and Captain Michael Brooks, despite showing a valid first-class ticket and a Delta Diamond card. Airport security just showed up at the plane's door, 2 officers in uniform marching in, their faces stone cold. The passenger crowd's buzzing, phones held high, flashes popping like a paparazzi frenzy. On X, @TravelTruth's livestream hits 10,000 views, with #Delta discrimination trending in the global top 5. Comments are flooding in. Delta needs to apologize now. Who's this guy? Why is he so calm? But nobody, not Emily, not Brooks, is ready for what's about to hit. This moment's gonna leave the whole cabin and the world with their jaws on the floor. James Carter, still buckled into seat 1A, backpack at his feet, looks up at Emily. His eyes aren't just patient anymore, they're the confident gaze of a man holding an ace. He slowly unzips his backpack, pulls out a sleek black leather card holder, and hands Emily a business card. His voice is low, clear, and cuts through the cabin. "I think you should read this carefully, Ms. Harper. James Carter, CEO of Carter Enterprises." The cabin freezes. Emily grabs the card, her eyes scanning the embossed text. Then her face goes ghost white. She stammers, "Carter Enterprises? But that doesn't change anything. You're still in the wrong seat." But her voice cracks, shaky like a leaf in a storm. Picture yourself there, watching someone's entire world crumble in seconds. Dr. Olivia Bennett, a 42-year-old surgeon in seat 3A, can't stay quiet. She snatches the card from Emily's hand and reads it aloud. "James Carter, CEO, Carter Enterprises, a $3 billion tech conglomerate." The cabin erupts. A businessman in seat 2C Googles it on his phone, shouting, "Holy crap, they make chips for half the tech industry." The young woman in seat 4B posts to TikTok, "Plot twist of the year, Delta messed with the wrong guy, had justice now." On at Travel Truth's livestream, comments explode. "CEO, Delta's done for. Is this a Hollywood movie?" Hashtag Delta discrimination is now surging with 1,000 posts a minute. But James just sits there, cool as a king on his throne. He flips open his laptop, a text flashing on the screen. "Board's ready, move now." Laura Mitchell, the airport manager called to the scene, steps into the cabin, her face tight with stress. She looks at the card, then at James, then back at the card, like she can't believe her eyes. "Mr. Carter, we'll verify this," she says, her voice trembling. But James shakes his head, his tone now carrying a new weight. "No need to verify, Ms. Mitchell. I suggest you call Delta's CEO, Patricia Evans, right now. You're gonna want her to know what's happening. Can you feel it?" The air in the cabin's shifting, from suspicion to shock and now to anticipation. James Carter isn't just a passenger wronged. He's a force of nature the crew can't even fathom, but that business card, it's just the start. What happens when James calls the board? Why is a CEO flying in jeans and a t-shirt? And most importantly, what's he about to do to make Delta, and the entire airline industry, pay for this mistake? Don't blink for a second. This video is about to take you into an even bigger shock. James Carter doesn't stop at proving he's right. He's turning this cabin into a battlefield for justice, where an entire system gets flipped upside down. Want to see the crew eat their words? Want to know how one man makes the world listen? Keep watching, because this story isn't just about James. It's about the power you have when you face injustice. The biggest climax is coming, along with lessons to change your life. Today. Ready? It's about to explode. The first-class cabin of Delta Flight 672 at Atlanta's airport has become a full-on arena of justice. James Carter, the black man in seat 1A, just dropped a bombshell by revealing he's the CEO of Carter Enterprises, a $3 billion tech giant. Flight attendant Emily Harper's face is pale as a ghost. Captain Michael Brooks is speechless. And airport manager Laura Mitchell is trembling with James's business card in her hand. The passenger crowd can't look away, phones up, flashes blazing like a light show. On X, at Travel Truth's livestream hits 20,000 views, with hashtag Delta discrimination dominating global trends at 2,000 posts a minute. Comments are pouring in. Delta picked the wrong fight. What's the CEO gonna do? But nobody's ready for the next shock. The moment James Carter goes from a wronged passenger to the man holding Delta Airlines' fate in his hands. James, still chilling in seat 1A, opens his laptop with a calmness that's almost scary. He types fast, the screen showing a document titled Carter Enterprises, Delta Airlines Shareholder Report. He looks up, locking eyes with Laura Mitchell, his voice booming like a command. "Ms. Mitchell, I suggest you call Patricia Evans, Delta's CEO, right now, and put it on speaker. Everyone here needs to hear this." Laura, her face white as chalk, fumbles with her radio. But before she can respond, James drops the hammer, his voice now commanding the entire room. Carter Enterprises owns 27% of Delta Airlines. "We're your second largest shareholder, and what's happening today? It's a gross violation of shareholder terms." The cabin explodes. Passengers gasp, one shouting, "27%? He practically owns this airline." Dr. Olivia Bennett, in seat 3A, whispers to her neighbor, "Delta's toast." Take a second to soak in this moment. You're watching a man, called a fraud because of his skin, flip the script and take control. If you were James, what would you do? Let it slide or use your power to overhaul a system? James Carter picks the second path. Laura, hands shaking, patches through a call to Patricia Evans. Delta's CEO's voice crackles over the speaker, tense and urgent. Mr. Carter, what's happening at gate A12? James, without missing a beat, fires back. Ms. Evans, I was denied service in a first-class seat I paid for, called a fraud, and threatened with security, all because of my skin color. This isn't just personal. It's a systemic failure at Delta. The crowd erupts in applause, at Travel Truth's live stream skyrocketing to 30,000 views. James doesn't stop. He holds up his laptop, reading 5 demands aloud. First, fire Emily Harper and Michael Brooks immediately for discriminatory conduct. Second, roll out anti-bias training for all employees within 30 days. Third, launch an anonymous discrimination reporting system within 72 hours. Fourth, establish a $1 million fund for diversity initiatives. And fifth, Delta must issue a public apology for this systemic failure. Patricia, after a long pause, agrees. We'll comply with all demands. Delta's stock, shown on a passenger's phone, drops 3% in 20 minutes. The crowd roars, Olivia raising a fist. That's justice! But you think James is done? Not even close. This is just the beginning. A new threat looms. A hacker threatening to leak Delta's darkest secrets. How will James handle it? Can he protect this victory? And what's the bigger secret behind his unshakable calm? Don't take your eyes off this screen. This video is about to take you into an even wilder climax. James Carter isn't just winning justice, he's rewriting the rules of an entire industry. Want to see the crew pay the price? Want to know how one man makes the world shift? Keep watching, because this story isn't just about James. It's about your power to fight injustice. The next peak will blow your mind with lessons to transform your life. Today. Ready. It's about to go off. The storm in the first-class cabin of Delta Flight 672 at Atlanta's airport is still raging. James Carter, the black man in seat 1A, just shook Delta Airlines to its core by revealing he's the CEO of Carter Enterprises, owning 27% of the airline's stock, and forcing CEO Patricia Evans to accept his 5 demands for systemic change in a public call. Flight attendant Emily Harper and Captain Michael Brooks are fired, the crowd's cheering like it's a touchdown, and at Travel Truth's live stream on X hits 50,000 views, with hashtag Delta discrimination ruling global trends. Delta's stock drops 3% in 20 minutes, and the world's watching. But just when everyone thinks the story's peaked, a new threat emerges from the shadows, threatening to flip everything upside down. This cabin's about to become the epicenter of a digital firestorm like nothing you've ever seen. A sudden notification pings on James's phone, making him pause. He opens X, and a post from an anonymous account, @DarkSkyLeak, sends a chill through the cabin. The post reads, Delta Airlines has buried hundreds of discrimination cases. I have the internal data. James Carter, retract your demands in 10 minutes, or I leak it all. Delta exposed. The crowd murmurs, eyes darting to James. Dr. Olivia Bennett, in seat 3A, reads the post aloud from her phone, her voice shaky. Is this hacker for real? They could destroy Delta. Laura Mitchell, the already panicked airport manager, stammers. Mr. Carter, we need time to handle this. Don't let that data leak. On @TravelTruth's livestream, comments flood in like a tidal wave. Who's this hacker? What's Delta hiding? James, don't back down. The stream hits 75,000 views, and hashtag Delta Exposed starts climbing the charts. Imagine you're in that cabin, where an unknown hacker's threatening to blow everything up with one click. If you were James, what would you do? Back off to protect Delta and keep things quiet. Or face the hacker head-on, no matter the risk. James Carter doesn't hesitate. He stands up, leaving seat 1A for the first time, and holds his phone up for the whole cabin to see. With a voice like steel, he responds publicly on X, right on @TravelTruth's livestream. @DarkSkyLeak, I'm not retracting anything. If you've got data, drop it. Transparency's the only way forward. The crowd goes wild, clapping like thunder. Olivia raises a fist. That's right, let the truth speak. The young woman in seat 4B posts to TikTok, James Carter just called the hackers bluff, hashtag dignity for all. X comments explode. This man fears nothing. Delta can't hide anymore. But the hacker doesn't back down. A new post from @DarkSkyLeak pops up. 5 minutes left. Last chance, James. Laura Mitchell's practically in tears, begging, Mr. Carter, please, we'll lose everything. But James shakes his head, his eyes hard as steel. Ms. Mitchell, if Delta's hiding discrimination cases, exposing them is the only way to fix it. I'm not afraid of the truth. He turns to the crowd, his voice booming. Who here wants the truth? Who wants justice? The entire cabin shouts back, we do. Travel Truth's live stream hits 100,000 views, and outlets like CNN start broadcasting live from Gate A12. Can you feel it? The air in the cabin's electric. James Carter isn't just challenging the crew, he's taking on a system of cover-ups. But will the hacker actually leak the data? How will James protect his victory? And what's the bigger secret waiting to drop? Don't look away for a single second. This video is about to take you into an even crazier twist. James Carter's turning this cabin into a symbol of transparency and justice. Want to see the hacker get taken down? Want to know how one man makes an entire industry shift? Keep watching, because this story isn't just about James. It's about your power to face injustice. The next twist will leave you stunned, with lessons to change your life. Today, ready? The storm's coming. The firestorm in the first-class cabin of Delta Flight 672 at Atlanta's airport hasn't cooled down. James Carter, the black man in seat 1A, just turned Delta Airlines upside down by revealing he's the CEO of Carter Enterprises, owning 27% of their stock, and forcing CEO Patricia Evans to greenlight his 5 demands for systemic change in a public call. He even dared an anonymous hacker, @DarkSkyLeak, to leak data on Delta's hidden discrimination cases, doubling down on transparency. Travel Truth's live stream on X hits 150,000 views, with hashtag Delta discrimination and hashtag dignity for all dominating social media, comments roaring, James is a legend. Delta's learning the hard way. The crowd, from Dr. Olivia Bennett to the TikTok teen, is cheering like they just saw a knockout punch. But now, the big question is, what's Delta gonna do to make this right? And how will James make sure they keep their promises? This cabin's about to see justice served, faster than anyone could imagine. Just 48 hours after the incident, Delta Airlines moves at lightning speed. At 6 a.m. on June 16, 2025, an internal memo goes out to all employees. Emily Harper and Captain Michael Brooks are fired on the spot for discriminatory conduct. Laura Mitchell, the airport manager, gets demoted to a training role with mandatory anti-bias courses. On X, @Travel Truth posts, Delta just canned 2 of them. Justice is rolling. #Dignity for all. The post gets 10,000 reposts in an hour. But Delta doesn't stop at punishment. An anonymous discrimination reporting system goes live at 6 a.m., and within 24 hours, it logs 10 complaints from passengers across the U.S. A passenger in seat 2C, checking the news on his phone, mutters, I can't believe they moved this fast. Olivia Bennett, still at gate A12, grins. James lit a fire under them. Imagine watching a giant like Delta Airlines, serving millions of passengers a year, forced to change because one man stood up. How does it feel? Satisfied? Inspired? Or wondering if this justice will last? James Carter leaves nothing to chance. He's in a temporary airport office, reviewing emails from Patricia Evans. An attached document outlines a plan to train 80,000 Delta employees on anti-bias, starting the next day. A $1 million diversity fund is announced on CNN with the headline, Delta launches Dignity for All program after scandal. Delta's stock, down 3%, rebounds 4% in 24 hours as investors cheer the swift action. On @Travel Truth's live stream, comments explode. Delta's stepping up. James is the real hero. But the most unforgettable moment happens right at gate A12. A new flight attendant, David Johnson, steps in to replace Emily. He walks into the cabin, bows to James, and says, "Mr. Carter, we're sorry for what happened. Delta's committed to doing better." The crowd claps, and Olivia holds up her phone, posting to X, "This is the Delta we want to see. Dignity for all. The anonymous reporting system, diversity fund, and new training, all rolled out in record time, proving that with enough pressure, change can happen, now." But the story's not over. James Carter got Delta to act, but will these changes ripple across the entire airline industry? And what happened to that hacker, at Dark Sky Leak, and their data? A bigger secret about James is about to drop, and it'll leave you stunned. Don't look away for a second. This video is about to take you into an even bigger journey, where one man doesn't just change an airline, but an entire industry. Want to see justice spread? Want to know how James inspires millions? Keep watching, because this story isn't just about James. It's about your power to fight injustice. The next chapter will blow you away with lessons to transform your life. Today. Ready? Justice is spreading. The story at Atlanta's airport with James Carter didn't stop at changing Delta Airlines or even the airline industry. It reached the hearts of millions, sparking voices that had been silenced by injustice. James, the black man wronged in Seat 1A, turned a moment of discrimination into a firestorm of reform, from firing the Delta crew to launching anonymous reporting systems and inspiring Sarah Nguyen and millions through hashtag Dignity for All. His TED Talk hit 5 million views. Hashtag Dignity for All spread 100,000 times on X, and the Delta rule became a new standard. But the real power of this story lies in ordinary people like Sarah Nguyen, a 23-year-old student who found courage from James to stand up and change the world in her own way. Let's dive into Sarah's moving journey and the community growing around her. Sarah Nguyen, an MBA student at the University of Georgia, was a passenger on United Airlines Flight 419 from Chicago to Atlanta in May 2025. She was denied a drink in economy class, with the flight attendant saying she didn't look old enough to order alcohol. But Sarah knew the truth. She was treated differently because she's Asian American. She filed a complaint, but United dismissed it as a misunderstanding. Sarah felt powerless, like so many others, until she watched @Travel Truth's live stream about James Carter. Sitting in her dorm, tears streaming down her face, Sarah wrote a letter to James through the Carter Foundation. "Mr. Carter, your story showed me I don't have to stay silent. Thank you for giving me courage." That letter wasn't just gratitude, it was the start of something bigger. Sarah reached out to the ACLU, provided evidence of her incident, and launched a class action lawsuit against United. The result? United agreed to a settlement and funded anti-bias training for 30,000 employees. On X, Sarah posted, "James Carter gave me a voice. Now I'm using it to demand justice." Dignity for all. Picture yourself as Sarah, feeling small against a massive system. Have you ever faced injustice and thought you couldn't change anything? Sarah proved otherwise. And she's not alone. Hundreds of passengers started sharing their stories on X, creating the Share Your Truth movement. A single mom denied boarding for looking suspicious. A disabled person left stranded at an airport. All sent letters to the Carter Foundation, and James read every one. At a Transportation Equity Summit in Atlanta, James met Sarah in person. He handed her a Carter Foundation scholarship, saying, "Sarah, your voice is stronger than any corporation." The crowd at the summit gave a standing ovation, and the video of that moment hit 1 million views on TikTok. Comments poured in. "Sarah's an inspiration. James and Sarah, the duo changing the world." The Share Your Truth community keeps growing. Thousands use #Dignity for All to tell their stories, from airports to bus stations. The Carter Foundation funds 50 discrimination lawsuits, turning personal stories into levers for systemic change. On X, @TravelTruth writes, "Sarah Nguyen and James Carter show that injustice isn't the end, it's the beginning. #Share Your Truth." A user comments, "I just reported a discrimination case at an airport. Thank you, Sarah." This movement isn't just about airlines. It's about empowering everyone to speak up, no matter who they are. But the story's not done. James and Sarah inspired millions, but a speech is coming that'll bring you to tears. How did a moment at Gate A12 become a lasting legacy? Don't look away for a second. This video is about to take you into a heart-wrenching moment where the power of individual voices changes the world. Want to see a community rise? Want to know how you can make a difference? Today, keep watching because this story isn't just about James and Sarah. It's about you and what your voice can do. The next chapter will hit you in the feels with lessons to act. Now, ready? The movement's growing. The main hall of the NAACP conference in Atlanta in October 2025 is packed with 800 people, activists, lawyers, and everyday passengers who faced injustice. On the big screen, #DignityForAll glows bright, and the event's live stream is hitting 200,000 views on X. James Carter, the man once told to leave seat 1A on Delta Flight 672, stands at the podium, no longer in a t-shirt and jeans, but a sharp black suit. Yet his eyes still burn with the same fire that made Delta Airlines apologize, a hacker back off, and an entire industry reform. His journey, from facing discrimination to revealing he's the CEO of Carter Enterprises, to inspiring Sarah Nguyen and the Share Your Truth movement, is now legendary. But today, James isn't just retelling the story. He's calling the world to action, and this moment will hit you right in the heart. James steps to the mic, the spotlight on his face. He starts, his voice deep and commanding. On June 14th, 2025, I was told to leave my first-class seat because of my skin color. But that day, I didn't just fight for myself. I fought for Sarah Nguyen, for you, and for the millions who face injustice every day. The crowd erupts in applause, the live stream flooding with comments. James speaks for us all. He holds up a chart, projected on the screen. Since the incident at Gate A12, discrimination complaints in the airline industry have dropped 75%, not because injustice is gone, but because companies like Delta, United, and Amtrak built systems to stop it. The crowd cheers, and an ex-user posts, James didn't just win, he changed the game. #DignityForAll. Imagine sitting in that hall, hearing someone who was told he didn't belong, now inspiring the world. Have you ever felt your voice was too small? James Carter reminds us, no voice is too small. He talks about Emily Harper, the flight attendant who wronged him. After being fired, Emily took anti-bias training and now advocates for companies to avoid her mistakes. She's in the audience, standing up to say, Mr. Carter, I'm sorry, and thank you for giving me a chance to change. The crowd claps, tears streaming down faces. James smiles, replying, Emily, your change proves that injustice doesn't have to be the end. It can be a beginning. James wraps up his speech with a powerful call. Don't stay silent in the face of injustice. Record it, report it, demand accountability. Every story you share builds the foundation for justice. He points to the screen, showing the Carter Foundation's website with an anonymous reporting tool. Use these tools. Share your story. Together, we'll build a world where everyone's treated with dignity. The audience gives a 3-minute standing ovation. The live stream hits 250,000 views, comments pouring in. I'm taking action. James is my inspiration. On stage, Sarah Nguyen steps up, hugs James, and says, Thank you for giving me and the world a voice. But this journey's not over. James gave you the tools to persist, but the final lesson will change how you live every day. How do you turn injustice into opportunity? Don't look away for a second. This video is about to deliver a profound lesson where you'll learn to stand up like James and Sarah. Want to see the world change? Want to know how your voice can make a difference? Keep watching, because this story isn't just about James. It's about you and the power of your voice to create justice. The finale will leave you ready to act, with tools to change your life today. Ready. The movement's calling your name. The NAACP conference hall in Atlanta is still buzzing after James Carter's electrifying speech, where he turned a moment of injustice on Delta Flight 672 into a global movement for transportation equity. From forcing Delta to fire its crew to launching anonymous reporting systems to inspiring Sarah Nguyen to sue United and millions to share stories via #DignityForAll, James proved one voice can change a system. The conference livestream hit 400,000 views. X comments flooding in. James is an icon. I'm ready to act. But the story doesn't end here. James Carter is passing the torch to you, yes you, to carry this movement forward and build a world where everyone's treated with dignity. This is the final call to action, and it'll light a fire in you. Get ready, because you're the next one in this justice revolution. James stands on stage, the spotlight on him, but his eyes lock onto the camera, like he's speaking straight to you. He raises his hand, his voice booming. Every one of us has the power to fight injustice. Don't wait for someone else to do it for you. Act today. He points to the massive screen behind him, showing the Carter Foundation's website with the words, "Report injustice, share your story. Change the world." James continues, his voice charged with energy. Record every injustice you see. At the airport, at school, at work. Use your phone, send an email, post it on X with hashtag #DignityForAll. Every story you share is a brick in the wall of justice. The crowd leaps to their feet, roaring, and an X user posts instantly, "I just reported a harassment case thanks to James." Dignity for all. The live stream explodes to 500,000 views, comments scrolling like wildfire. "I'm doing it! James empowers us all." Take a second and ask yourself, have you ever seen injustice but stayed silent, thinking you couldn't make a difference? James Carter, Sarah Nguyen, and millions in the hashtag #DignityForAll movement remind you that you can. James shares one last story. "When I was denied service on that flight, I could have walked away, but I persisted, and now an entire industry's changing. You can do the same." He calls out, "Start small, record one incident, share your story on X." Sign up with the Carter Foundation for tools and support. And most importantly, share this video with your friends, family, coworkers. Spread the hashtag #DignityForAll movement so no one has to face injustice alone. A young woman in the audience, inspired, posts a TikTok. "Just shared this video with my whole class." Thank you, James. #Share your truth. The final scene of the video shows James boarding a new Delta flight, same Atlanta to New York route. The new flight attendant, David Johnson, greets him with a genuine smile. "Mr. Carter, welcome back. We're proud to have you on board." The first-class cabin is now more diverse, with passengers of all colors and ages treated equally. James settles into seat 1A, opens his laptop, and checks an email from the Carter Foundation. 10,000 new stories shared via hashtag #DignityForAll. He smiles, knowing this movement's growing every day. On X, @TravelTruthPosts, James Carter started it, but we'll keep it going. Spread the word, #DignityForAll. Comments flood in. I shared the video. Together, we're unstoppable. This is your moment. James handed you the torch. What are you going to do with it? Record a story? Share this video? Or join the movement to change the world? Don't stop here. This video isn't just a story, it's a call to action. Share it now. Use hashtag #DignityForAll and sign up for updates on the movement. Want to see injustice end? Want your voice to be heard? Start today. Because this story isn't just about James, it's about you and the power of your voice to create a fairer world. Together, we'll spread this movement to every corner. Ready? Act now.